I have known some people to go on a 10-day fast and not get very sick. But you know, I investigated the case and I found out that these people were about 350 pound. They had not had exposure to chemicals through their life. So maybe what they were releasing from their fat stores weren't as toxic as maybe someone else. So this is one of the remarkable things that science is now showing us as to the reason why people are recovering from serious illnesses when they go through a fast. Because a fast could be called a detox, it could be called a cleanse, because as the fat stores get broken up, they are releasing the environmental poisons.
Have you ever wanted to try intermittent fasting but weren't sure where to start? Intermittent fasting has helped countless people lose weight, boost energy, and improve their health. But there are a few key basics you need to know before jumping in. Most beginners believe that fasting is just about skipping meals, but it's much more than that. It doesn't have to be confusing or difficult. What if I told you that understanding a few simple principles could make your fasting journey smooth and effective? In fact, following the right basics can help you see results faster while avoiding common mistakes. So what are these essential fasting basics, and how can you use them to get the best results from day one? Stay tuned as we break down the most important intermittent fasting basics every beginner needs to know. Before we jump in, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We've got a Q&A video coming up where we'll be answering your questions, so make sure to leave yours below and stay tuned for that. Now let's get into today's video. Imagine starting your day without immediately reaching for food simply because it is a habit. Many of us wake up and prepare a meal, believing we need breakfast to kickstart our day. However, the truth is that you might not actually be hungry when you first open your eyes. Hunger in the early morning can often be more a reflection of your body's internal clock than a genuine need for nourishment. When you choose to delay your first meal until later in the day, you give your body the chance to shift its energy source from burning sugar to burning fat. This change in fuel source is one of the most significant benefits of intermittent fasting.
So the bad breath, yes, it's because something's not right down in there. There is a cleansing process that is necessary. And one of the most fascinating ways to do this cleansing is fasting. My lecture tonight is the physical effects of fasting. My lecture tomorrow at 11 o'clock is the spiritual, mental effects of fasting. Sorry, 9:30. I'm so glad my husband's here. Just to remind me. Yes, Pastor Plummer is at 11. At 9:30 I'm going to show you the physical and the mental effects of fasting. But tonight I want to show you the physical effects. What is fasting? The dictionary says that fasting is the absence of food. Now, there are many ways that you can fast. And at our health retreat, Misty Mountain Health Retreat, people come in for various reasons. And no matter what the reason, they juice for 2 days. No matter what the problem, they juice for 2 days. I had a couple come once. She was 38 kilos. He was 48 kilos. It's not very big, is it? I'm only a little lady. I'm about 48 kilos, but it's a problem if I'd be 38 kilos. And it's a problem if a man is 48 kilos. They said, please don't fast us. We're so thin as it is. I said, I need to fast you. Because one of the problems is your gut is not working and it needs a break. It needs a break. A very important law of health is rest. Oh, how many people lay down to sleep at night and there's one organ that is not resting. It is the stomach. Before electric lights, the main meal was always had in the middle of the day. There was light. It's only a recent thing, probably the last 80 years, where people, instead of eating breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and tea like a pauper, they eat breakfast like a pauper and lunch like a pauper, and the king and the queen are eaten at night together. And we see the results because human bodies are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because all the fuel's taken in at night and the body says, yippee, now we can do something. Oh no, they've gone to sleep. What are we going to do with all the fuel? We'll have to store it. We'll have to store it. And the person wakes up in the morning, oh, they don't feel like breakfast. Why not? Because poor old stomach has had to slog away all night with everything shut down, and it can't work very fast. And often there's still a bit in there, and it's in a warm environment. It's not going to be very nice down there. So this couple said to me, please don't fast us. I said, I need to. They were eating so much food in an attempt to what? Put on a bit of weight. But poor old stomach was so overworked it could not break the food down properly, and it couldn't even get to where they wanted it to get. I said, I got to fast you. That stomach needs a rest. Do you know the man had a scar about 1 inch wide down his stomach? Do you know what a scar that big means? He's had cut after cut after cut after cut, trying to look for what the problem is. I said, you need to fast, but I shall give you a protein drink every juice so that you will not lose weight. I saw that man about 3 years later. He was big and strong and had muscles, and I didn't ask him his weight, but it was probably about, I don't know, for a 5'9" man, it'd be about 80 kilos, yeah? And what was he when he came to us? 48 kilos. Where did I have to go? I had to go to the gut. And that's where we're going to go on Sunday. Because if the gut's not working, nothing works. And one thing the gut loves is a rest.
In the early stages of your fasting journey, you may find that the idea of skipping breakfast feels challenging. Yet if you listen closely to your body, you might notice that the urge to eat immediately upon waking is not as strong as you think. The body is designed to be flexible, and when you allow it to use stored fat for energy, you may find that your appetite begins to settle down. A clear sign that this method is working is when your hunger fades away and you are no longer constantly thinking about food. When your body reaches a point where you do not experience an unrelenting appetite, it indicates that your body is efficiently using its own stored energy. It is important to understand that fasting is not simply about reducing the number of calories you eat. It is about shifting your body into a mode where it relies on its own energy reserves. When you let your body access its fat stores, you create an environment where the food you eventually eat does not have as much control over you. Instead, you begin to gain control over your food choices and the timing of your meals. Over time, this shift can lead to improvements in various aspects of your health, including better control over your energy levels, clearer thinking, and even an uplift in your mood. One of the key actions you can take is to move your breakfast time closer to lunch. When you wake up in the morning, take a moment to ask yourself whether you are truly hungry or if you are simply following an old habit. Often, you will realize that you do not have a strong desire for food right away. By postponing your first meal, you allow your body to transition into a fasting state, which helps it tap into the stored fat that lies dormant. For those who find it challenging to bridge the gap between waking up and your first meal, there are simple strategies that can make this transition smoother. For instance, keeping your carbohydrate intake low during later meals will help minimize early morning hunger, as excessive carbs can trigger cravings for more food the next day. As you progress with fasting, you might notice a slight sensation of hunger in the morning, even though you are not genuinely in need of food. This feeling is often linked to the natural rhythm of your hormones, such as cortisol, which peaks in the early hours. It is not unusual for a small hunger sensation to arise because of this hormonal shift, but more often than not, it will fade if you ignore it. The important part is to learn the difference between a real need for nourishment and a mere hormonal signal. If you experience discomfort such as dizziness or significant weakness, along with the hunger, then it is a sign that your body might need something. Otherwise, most of the time, this sensation is temporary and will pass without you having to give in. When you do sit down for your first meal, it is helpful to include a healthy dose of fats toward the end of your meal. This addition could be anything from a small portion of nuts or olives to a bit of natural nut butter. The role of these fats is to help you feel full and satisfied, making it easier to extend your fasting period later on. Your body, which is adjusting to the new way of sourcing energy, benefits from the extra fat because it provides a lasting sense of fullness. This means that you can continue fasting longer without being tempted by the constant desire to snack. The same strategy applies to your dinner. Including a bit of healthy fat at the end of your meal can help maintain your sense of satisfaction throughout the night. By doing this, you reduce the likelihood of feeling the need to snack between meals, which is one of the biggest challenges people face when trying to stick with intermittent fasting. Snacking between meals not only disrupts your fasting state, but can also lead to unnecessary calorie intake and spikes in insulin, which over time can create further difficulties for your body in managing energy effectively. An important concept to keep in mind is the idea of healthy eating while on a low-carbohydrate diet. Many people mistakenly believe that all low-carb diets are equally beneficial, but there is a significant difference between choosing quality foods and opting for any low-carb option. When you are following a healthy eating plan that emphasizes whole foods rich in nutrients, you will notice positive changes not only in your weight, but in your overall appearance and energy. In contrast, a low-quality diet, even if it is low in carbohydrates, might leave you feeling run down and can even affect your physical appearance in a negative way. It is not enough to merely cut out certain foods. The quality of the food you consume is equally important. When it comes to the timing of your meals, one common approach is to have two main meals within a set window, such as one at noon and another at around 6 in the evening. This arrangement provides an 18-hour fasting period, which can be quite beneficial for your body. During this fasting period, your body is given ample time to switch its primary energy source from the food you recently consumed to the fat stored in your tissues. This shift in energy use is a central goal of intermittent fasting and can lead to improvements in everything from brain function to immune system strength. Some of the most noticeable changes you might experience when you begin intermittent fasting include a reduction in your overall hunger and cravings. When your body becomes accustomed to using its fat stores for energy, you may find that you are no longer constantly thinking about your next meal. This newfound sense of control over your hunger can free you from the cycle of overeating and allow you to focus on other aspects of your life. In addition, many people report that their cognitive abilities improve during fasting periods. With fewer distractions from constant eating, you may notice that your concentration, memory, and overall creativity become sharper, making it easier to tackle daily tasks and challenges. It is also crucial to be mindful of how your body responds to certain beverages and additives. For example, many people enjoy a splash of wine with their dinner, but even a small amount of alcohol can interfere with your body's ability to remain in a fasting state for an extended period. The same goes for seemingly harmless carbohydrates that might sneak into your diet. Even a small piece of bread or a half glass of wine can have a significant impact on the metabolic processes you are trying to support through fasting. When your body receives these unexpected carbohydrates, it can temporarily halt the fat-burning process, which means you might not experience the full benefits of your fasting period. While it is acceptable to enjoy these foods occasionally, it is important to be aware of their effects on your overall progress. For those who have been fasting for a while, it might seem that the benefits come quickly. You might have a friend or family member who tells you that their results were almost immediate, but it is important to remember that everyone's body responds differently. In some cases, improvements in energy levels, mood, and cognitive function may be noticed early on. However, long-term changes such as the repair of metabolic imbalances and the reduction of insulin resistance require a sustained effort over a period of time. One person I once encountered tried to follow this practice for only a couple of weeks and then expected lasting changes. While there were initial improvements, the progress stalled when the practice was not maintained consistently. This experience serves as a reminder that intermittent fasting is not a temporary fix, but rather a long-term lifestyle change that requires commitment and patience. It is important to keep in mind that the journey to better health is not measured solely by the number on the scale. Instead, you should pay attention to other indicators such as improved energy, a clearer mind, and a reduced sense of hunger. When you find that your appetite becomes more manageable and you no longer feel compelled to eat at every opportunity, it is a sign that your body is adjusting to the new routine. Over time, this can lead to more sustainable improvements in your overall well-being. Rather than focusing solely on losing weight, think of intermittent fasting as a way to create a more harmonious relationship with food. As you become more accustomed to intermittent fasting, you might also find that your body starts to respond differently to exercise. When you work out on an empty stomach or after a fasting period, the benefits extend beyond the physical. Your body's ability to build and repair muscle, along with an improved metabolic response, can be significant. Some people choose to exercise during their fasting period to maximize the effects of the fasting state on fat burning and muscle building. However, it is important to listen to your body and understand that your nutritional needs may change with the intensity of your exercise routine. For those who enjoy a workout in the morning, it might be best to avoid supplements or drinks that contain carbohydrates or proteins before or after your session, as these can interfere with the natural benefits that fasting provides. Your meals should supply the amino acids and nutrients necessary for recovery, and any extra intake might counteract the positive effects of your exercise routine. Another aspect that comes into play during intermittent fasting is the way your body handles cholesterol. Many people worry about the impact that increased fat consumption may have on their cholesterol levels. It is common for cholesterol numbers to rise in some individuals when they begin a fasting regimen, but this is not necessarily a cause for alarm. When your body starts burning fat for energy, cholesterol is released along with triglycerides. The key difference lies in the type of cholesterol that increases. Often the larger particles of cholesterol, which are less likely to cause issues, become more prominent, while the small, dense particles, which are more problematic, do not see the same increase. This shift is a natural part of the body's process as it transitions to using fat for energy. However, if you are concerned about your cholesterol levels, it might be helpful to undergo a detailed lipid profile to better understand the changes happening in your body. Monitoring these levels can give you peace of mind as you continue with your fasting routine. Supplements may also play a role in your routine, particularly if you notice signs that your body might be missing certain nutrients. Sometimes when you restrict your calorie intake and focus on specific foods, you might not get all the vitamins and minerals you need. In such cases, taking natural B vitamins, nutritional yeast, or an electrolyte blend that includes trace minerals can be very beneficial. These supplements can help address any minor deficiencies and support your body's overall function as you adjust to the fasting schedule. It is important, however, not to rely solely on supplements, but to view them as a way to complement your nutrient-dense meals. Over time, as your body becomes more efficient at handling the fasting periods, you may find that the need for extra supplementation diminishes. There are also instances where even a small serving of carbohydrates in the evening, such as a slice of bread or a small portion of wine, can affect your state of ketosis. It might be tempting to indulge in a little treat after a long day, but be aware that these minor deviations can have a lasting impact. For example, a half glass of wine or a small piece of bread might knock your body out of the fat-burning mode for several hours. This means that while you may enjoy the flavor in the moment, the overall effect could be a delay in reaching your fasting goals. The key is to remain mindful of the hormonal and metabolic shifts that occur in your body when you consume even a small amount of carbohydrates during your fasting period. And that's it. Now you know the most important basics to start intermittent fasting the right way. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just focus on the fundamentals, stay consistent, and listen to your body. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips on health and fasting. And if you have any questions or want to share your experience, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.